You've just finished a video game and watched the credits roll. The screen fades to black, and then there's nothing. You don't want to start another game. You don't want to watch a TV show or a movie. The world outside your window somehow feels less real than the one you just left behind. If you've ever felt that feeling, that strange sadness after finishing a game that meant something to you, you're not alone. Researchers have examined this interesting topic and have classified it as post-game depression. The main question that we want to expand upon in this video is, what does it mean to grieve something that was never real in the first place? In March 2026, researchers created an article about post-game depression and described it as the feeling of emptiness, loss, and sadness that some players experience after finishing a highly immersive and emotionally charged game. The most impactful games are the ones that make you critically think about every single aspect of your experience. The difficult journey you undertake, the consequences you face, and the moments where your jaw drops or your heart aches after a sad event. After finishing an amazing game, there's a chance that other games, TV shows, or films do not fill the space that you are missing. The researchers describe post-game depression as a specific type of grief after loss, reminiscent of parting with a loved one or the end of an important life stage. Many games require you to spend countless hours completing tasks, exploring different locations, and making decisions that can impact you emotionally and mentally. After completing an impactful game, there could be an adjustment period where you are sorting through your thoughts about what you just experienced. Not only are you dealing with the fact that you are finished with the game, you also may be dealing with the aftermath of the story within that game. So what makes a game powerful enough to cause this feeling? What's the formula? I want to examine two important games that I have played that relate to this feeling: Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Last of Us Part 2. I have to admit, I definitely slept on Red Dead Redemption 2. I played it for the first time in 2024, and at the time, I only completed the first chapter. Around Christmas time in 2025, I decided to jump back in again and restart the story. After finally playing through chapter 1, I was hooked. First off, the map is massive and the world feels alive. Outside of doing missions, you can encounter so many different world events, such as meeting random strangers and fighting off rival gang members. I find myself doing other activities as well, such as hunting animals to upgrade my satchel and camp. There were countless times in my playthrough where I just rode around on my horse and embraced the scenery of the game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful game. The amount of detail in the scenery and landscapes is truly remarkable. As I played Red Dead 2, I became invested in the characters throughout the game. Arthur, who is the main character in Red Dead 2, develops over time, and you can see how much he changes as the story continues. I also became invested in other characters in the game, such as John, Lenny, Charles, and Sadie, who played crucial roles throughout Arthur's journey. I also started to hate specific characters as well, such as Dutch and Micah, due to their actions and behavior in the story. There's so much depth to the characters in Red Dead 2, and I found that witnessing the fate of each character truly felt impactful on my journey. This is where the idea of post-game depression comes into play for me. After finishing the game, I was constantly thinking about my relationships with the characters. Even though it's a fictional story, I became attached to the characters and reacted to their decisions as if I was actually in the game. As I played, it felt like I was fully immersed in the game world and put my real life on a break to enjoy the story and connect with the characters. The feeling of strong connections to the virtual world of Red Dead 2 shows why the game is truly a masterpiece. While the open world aspect plays an important role in creating immersion, the story and characters are needed to emotionally impact the player. Playing through Arthur's journey of redemption to right his wrongs and help those who he cares about will always be one of my favorite gaming memories. I'll always remember the times when I felt real emotions while playing through the story. Sitting with my thoughts after finishing Red Dead 2 was sad, in a way, because I will never be able to experience the story for the first time ever again. At the same time, it made me happy, because that experience will always be an important gaming memory, which shows the impact of Red Dead 2 as a form of entertainment. The Last of Us Part 2 is another game that relates to my experience with post-game depression. I was really excited for the release of this game, and I actually pre-ordered it before the release in June of 2020. There was a lot of controversy surrounding the release of the game due to a leak that happened, which revealed crucial story spoilers. The leak didn't really change my excitement for the game, and actually made me more curious to experience the story for myself. When I first started playing, I was hooked and invested in the gameplay and story. While the story is linear, there are some parts in the game that feature small open world-like sections, which give you an opportunity to explore and interact with the world. The developers took big risks with the story, and I really like their creative approach to avoid being predictable. Playing as both Ellie and Abby throughout the story adds to the importance of building relationships with the characters. By seeing both perspectives of the main characters on their respective journeys, you start to question who to really root for. Violence and revenge are important themes in the game that define the story and characters. Ellie goes on a quest for revenge and destroys everyone who gets in her way by any means necessary. As the player, you control Ellie's violence, but you're also motivated to do so after experiencing the events of the story. You feel that violence is justified after you witness the fate of the main characters, who you have grown to love and cherish. The developers make us question whether this violence is correct by making it a constant focal point in the gameplay. While there are some points in the story that give you some breathing room away from combat, you spend most of the time fighting against the infected or human enemies. When taking down human enemies, you can see the emotion on their faces and hear their screams as you take them down. These factors play a role in making you immersed in the game and represent the consequences of violence. I never really thought about the consequences of Ellie and Abby's actions in the game until after the story ended. The game makes you question whether violence is worth it in the end, and how the idea of revenge can blindly lead you down a path of destruction. It was very similar to my time in Red Dead 2 because I became so connected to the characters on my journey. When video games can immerse you through the story and world design, you become more attached, which makes the feeling of post-game depression hit even harder. The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the most impactful games that I have played. After finishing the story, I sat for a while, just thinking about my experience and all the moments that led to the final scene. Without spoiling the story, one impactful part of the game was when Ellie and Abby's journeys finally collide at the Pinnacle Theater, which is Ellie's hideout in the early story. The violent and emotional nature of that part of the story really impacted me. It became one of those moments that I didn't want to replay. Not because it was a bad part of the game, but because of its emotional impact after spending so much time with these characters. My experience shows how powerful video games can be when they immerse the player and make them critically think. While video games will always be a source of entertainment, they can be more than that. They can be the foundation for players to develop life lessons and build core memories that they will remember forever. So here's the question we've been circling the whole video. Is post-game depression a good or bad thing? The honest answer is, it's both. And the line between them matters. On one hand, post-game depression is a sign of something beautiful. As a player, your experience of an interactive story impacted you so much on an emotional and mental level that it has left a real mark in your real life. On the other hand, the research shows that people who already struggle with depression can experience worse reactions if they experience post-game depression. This is where the ethics of game design comes into play. The research about post-game depression raises the question, do developers need to consider the psychological aftermath of the worlds they build? The fact that a game can make you grieve is actually extraordinary. It means the art form has a purpose for the player. It means games can do what the best TV shows, books, and films have always done. Make you feel something real about something that isn't. Arthur Morgan isn't real. Ellie isn't real. Abby isn't real. But the way they changed how we see loyalty, revenge, loss, and redemption, that's completely real. The worlds that we explore with these characters are not real. However, they're the foundation for the memories that we will always call back upon when we think about our favorite games. Maybe that's what the emptiness is. The echo of something that actually mattered. Have you ever experienced post-game depression? What game caused it, and how did it feel? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like this, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.